I would like to thank to the organization committee for inviting me to this awesome conference. It's an honor to be here with you. Okay. And first of all, assume that you are now working in your company right now. You are working hard in your laptop, on your laptop, and you are working hard, and you have been working hard for a long time, and you become thirsty, of course, and you would like to get a glass of water, and you stand up and you walk towards the kitchen to get a glass of water, and after some time, you notice something interesting. A big, fat, gray elephant is just sitting in front of you. It's a surprise, it's weird, but you look around, but anyway, you don't have to consume your valuable time for checking that big elephant in your open office. So you pass it, and you continue your walk towards the kitchen, and when you turn the corner to the kitchen, you notice something weird too, and a second big, fat, gray elephant just sitting in front of you and looking at you. And now you're pissed off. I mean, how that can happen? You look around and you're searching for help, and when you turn back to the open office, you notice many elephants in different sizes. Some of them are just sitting next to other guys. And some of them are sitting in front, on top of tables, even on top of some of the laptops. The guy cannot code and just wait till the elephant goes away. And now, that is not the most shocking moment of the story. The most shocking moment of this story is that you notice no one cares, the elephants. They are there. They notice them. You are kind of sure. But no one cares. No one do nothing. That's interesting. Weights in our development life, in our daily life, are like the elephants in our open office, in our company. They are there. Sometimes we notice them directly. Sometimes we cannot, of course. And even though we notice, we do nothing. We wait till it decides to leave the room. In this session, I will try to describe you some tips, my observations, and the practices that we applied in order to let the elephants leave the room and make your development life a kind of leaner. Okay. Let me introduce myself a little bit. So my name is Lemi. I'm from Turkey. I have tons of different moods in my daily work. I've been developing since 2005. I'm now working as a consultant at ACM, one of the leading consultancy and training company in Turkey. I'm an ex-Sony and ex-eBay employee, and I'm working. Also, I'm a community guy. I love communities. And I'm the founder of Software Craftsmanship Turkey community, and I'm the product owner of Agile Turkey Summit Conference for 2 years. It's an exhausting job. Yeah. And that's why I really appreciate the sponsors. I mean, since I'm a community guy and I'm the product owner of a conference, I really congratulate those sponsors for this conference. Okay, as developers, we are new creatures. I mean, we are optimistic by default. We thought that the code that we build will succeed, and the products that we work on, they are awesome products. People like it. Consumers will use it, and of course, we'll succeed at any time. But we are overconfident too. I mean, the designs that we do, they are awesome. I mean, you may see some God developers. Every company has a kind of God developer guy. I mean, you go to that guy to learn some tricks, some hacks, and sometimes, for example, I experienced when I joined eBay Turkey. After a few months, I mean, we couldn't found the reason of a bug, and people cannot pay, and we have to find it urgently. Then we go to a guy who's sitting just few meters away. With three guys, we go him and we ask. Now we have some events that are thrown, and for that event only, we cannot catch it. I mean, people cannot pay. Do you know the reason, or where should we look at? And he thought a little bit, and he said, I mean, you should look at that class and in that method, because at 2007 we had a hack. And we made a patch there, there's a workaround, you should look at it. And there's no comment or anything on it, so you have to look carefully. And those are the God developers, and that's an anti-pattern, of course. And we thought that consumers should learn how we build software, right? I mean, we are using Scrum, and every consumer, the business, should know Scrum, because they cannot understand us. I mean, that's interesting, because why? Why should they know how we build software? Because they are just business, they are just customers. Anyway, and after that, I noticed something interesting too from my career. I worked on 11 a kind of big projects, 6 months and longer projects, and more than half of them are already failed. They are removed, some of them removed from production. And even for one project, they removed the code from the code base because it messed all the code base. I mean, the features that we added later on after some time, it messed all the code base. Therefore, we removed it. I mean, we built crap. We built crap. We are very scared of touching source code, and that's a real phenomenon. So we have to touch it, but we cannot, because every time in every attempt, a different feature will fall. So if you fix a bug, a new bugs occur. So how we can handle that? That's bad, right? And we build features, we design it, we do UX work, and later we design diagrams, we do lots of stuff, and at the end, we deploy to production, people start to use it. Customers don't like it, but why? And you know that the 0.01% is the number of success rate of mobile apps by 2018. That's very, very low. It's hard to understand from development perspective, because I mean, very intelligent guys building awesome applications. People really like it. We like it. You are sure, but no way. People won't use it. That's bad. That's a bad news, unfortunately. And we have time to fix bugs. We have time to do debugging. Always we will have time for that. But we have no time for writing tests. We have no time for designing well. We have no time to invest in ourselves by reading books, by watching conference videos, or practicing, doing practicing. And that's a pity. So you know that you are dealing with lots of bugs and you have to fix them, but unfortunately you don't invest in yourself and in the design, in the quality of your products. Okay? And we build processes, lovely, well-defined processes. And we miss something. I love that guide. So yes, it's a process. It's going. Oh shit. You know that guy? Hey, how can it happen? Hey, it's unexpected, right? Processes don't build products. People do. So the missing point is the people. We don't build products by checking the nature of people. The developers, they are cool people. They are naive. We have to understand their feelings, and the nature of the software development should be based on people. That's for sure, not the processes. And we drown in waste. We build wrong products. And when I heard first time we built wrong products for years ago, it was a shocking moment for me because, yeah, I noticed that I built wrong products. For example, I'm really happy because I'm doing TDD and I'm really writing tests and I'm proud of it, proud of building well-designed code base as far as I can do. However, what I built is totally wrong. And what I built is totally useless from time to time. And my career is filled with useless products and useless code base. That's a shame, right? And one day I decided not to tell our customers that we are using Scrum or we are building awesome products because we are doing retrospectives. Customers do not need to know that. Customers don't care that we use Java, don't care the technologies, don't care if you do refactoring or not. They don't care if you have bug. Of course, they care, but they don't care if you do extra effort for not making bugs, right? And they don't care even our feelings. They care about products, right? They really love to use those products. They would like to get the return of investment, okay? And people care that their products should be solved at the end. They have problems. They have problems, and we have to solve it. We are writing software to solve their problems, right? And the end goal is this. And after some time, I realized that we should think like a customer. It is like maximizing the amount of value that we deliver to the customer. So thinking like a customer is a little mind shift from development perspective. Because developers, analysts, business people, and customers, they have all different mindset and they see the products in different views. Okay, lean is a mindset. Okay, and when we look at lean from a different perspective, we see that maximizing the value for the end customer by removing waste. It's tens of different explanations can be given, but I like this one. So we have to remove waste. We should not produce waste, and we should find waste and eliminate it. Okay? Now, let's find some waste and eliminate it in software development. I will look at all those tips from development, a developer perspective, okay? So the first and the biggest ways is the code itself. So if you have a chance not to code, do not to code. I mean, we don't have to code. I mean, also the design, from design perspective, we have to wait till it is really, really needed to the last point, last minute, last second. To design. Every design, before it should be done, is a wrong design. So this is important, okay? And more code means more waste, more defects, and it's not an explanation of me. It's, for example, Steve McConnell says that the industry average is about 15 to 50 errors or defects per 1,000 lines of code. That's a lot. That's a lot. It means that, of course, the numbers can change from time to time, from product to product, from code base to code base. However, it means that we have tons of bugs hidden inside code base, and they're waiting to occur in bank holidays. You have to come to the company when it is closed and all air conditioner will be closed, that's for sure, and it will be hot. And I had such a story, and I mean, I have to take my clothes off because it was too hot, like a sauna, and I have to fix a critical bug. And I fix it and send it to deploy to production without even checking. I looked at my laptop, it is fixed. Well done. Then deploy to production, it is fixed there too. We saw I was working at Sony, and we were giving free Blu-ray players. Whenever whenever a customer buys a TV, it gets a free Blu-ray player. It should not be like that. It's a bug. So all Blu players are gone due to a weird bug, and I fixed it. I sent it to production because people noticed that Blu-ray players are free. And after 3 months, the same problem occurred again. And everyone looked at me, everyone. And I said, hey guys, I looked at the code base, my fix is there. It means that the code base evolved in such a weird way that the same problem occurred in a different entry. Okay? So I cannot do anything about it. Anyway. Also, we are doing values deployments. So Robert C. Martin states that writing features, building features is not the very first value of software. The very first value of software is tolerate and facilitate the ongoing changes. It means the changes can occur at any time. It doesn't mean that the requirements can change. Requirements can be there, but there are new bugs happen, and the technologies change. The log4j library has a new patch, and you have to apply it, but it's not backward compatible, and you have to live with them. Okay, so we have to think about it. So also Eric Rice in his paper in 1992 states that software is the design, which means that the design of software is the source code, not the UML diagrams we use or we build. So the source code itself is the design. So any problem in your source code, most probably related with the design problems. So if you would like to build a high-quality software, you have to focus on the software design first, not learning Java or C# very well. Okay? So one of my friends had an interesting tweet. I like that guy, and he said, let's clarify first. So GitHub is not Git, right? And if you build in Android, it doesn't mean that you know Java well. And unit test, if you write unit test, it doesn't mean you do TDD. And Java is not object-oriented programming. You write interestingly well procedural programming in Java too. And Docker is not DevOps. If you use Docker, it doesn't mean that you apply DevOps. You have a DevOps culture. And Jenkins, using Jenkins, it's not continuous integration. So from the left side, the topics do not mean that you are good on the topics on the right side. So we have to clarify that first. Okay. Now, so we first have to focus on software design, and the very, very first topic should be the refactoring techniques and how we design software. I noticed I worked with tens of different software development teams, and I noticed that the knowledge of refactoring techniques is very low among the teams, and it should be one of the first point for software for developers to learn, and also object-oriented programming principles, functional programming principles, and clean code principles, automated testing, acceptance testing. What are the difference between integration test and a unit test? What is test last development, and why it's a pain in the ass? And what is design by test. I love TDD, but Kent Beck not stated that TDD is not the right name. He said that it should be test-driven design, but I say that it's still wrong. It should be designed by test. I mean, and code review techniques and pair programming culture should be established. So each of them we should work on carefully. Okay, and we should keep our repositories tiny. If you have a million lines of code that you have to maintain in one shot, you are in trouble. What I experienced is splitting the big repositories into manageable parts is a good practice. And everyone looks at commit graphs. Stop messing commit graphs. If you merge, you have to have some real explanation why you merge it. If it's so, you have to learn what the difference between rebase and merge, and when to rebase, when to merge is one of the important concepts of a developer. So you have to, as a developer, we have to learn the difference. That is our job, and we have to delete code. Delete code sometimes is a really weird feeling. I mean, I've been facilitating code retreats for years. I love the code retreat idea. So at 22nd of October, there's a global day of code retreat. Also, I will be facilitating in Istanbul. And after 35 minutes, we say that, hey guys, well done. You can leave. I mean, you can stand and eat something, but first, delete all the code base that you built. Everything you delete it, you will start from scratch. And they're shocked. And one guy, I could not convince them. I mean, one guy said that no one can ask me to delete a code. And I said, okay, I don't want to argue with you, so that's fine. I mean, it's incredible. Deleting code should not be that hard, right? Okay. And there are tons of different waste in our development life. Comments, they are wastes. So I will describe it later on. And upfront design is a wonderful waste because any design attempt before it should be designed is a bad design. So it's wrong. So you have to wait till it is really, really required. And manual deployments is a pain. So I know that we've been working with India for all operational stuff. They are a huge team for Sony, working with Sony. And one day our manual deployment took 6 hours. And the last message coming from India is, thanks God. Most probably that guy died or got blind. I mean, I don't know. So manual deployments is also a kind of waste. Unmerged branches, that is important, and I will describe it later on. And debugging. Debugging itself is required, right? Of course it is required. However, excessive debugging or any kind of attempt to resolve an issue, if you're debugging, that's a waste. You are spending too much time on F7 or F8. That should be removed from our development life. But how? Okay. So in 2014, one of the keynote speakers of Agile Turkey Summit, Nils Flagging, says this quote: "We zombify people by using wrong practices. What we learned might be wrong. So what we are doing now might be wrong, and we should think about it again and again. We should think about it as a waste to resolve, to identify if that is a real waste or not." Okay, let's check all the points one by one. So throughout my career, how we build software. We first develop, right? We write, we program, we code it, and later on we deploy it, and then we fix the bugs. And in some projects, there are some bug fix period. I hate it. There's no bug fix period. Bug fixing is directly embedded in the development process, or a refactoring sprint. I had a refactoring sprint and it worked really well, but it's a very exceptional case. There shouldn't be no refactoring or technical improvement sprint. Every sprint should build business value. Okay? And now, we should now develop first and refactor. What we developed is not the last thing, last version of our source code. So we have to refactor it. And believe me, refactoring is not a one-step action. Saint Metz is a wonderful woman. Is very famous about object-oriented programming, mainly in Ruby. She has lots of talks, and one of his talk, she did a real-time coding, and she applied 11 refactoring methods, one after another, till the complexity decreases. Till that time, for the 10 attempts, complexity increased one by one. The code is not better, it is worse. All your refactoring attempts make your code worse till the 11th refactoring attempt. So refactoring is a chain of attempts, a chain of processes that you apply to your source code. So we should be aware of it. So big upfront design. As an architect, I try to design a 2 years project in 2 weeks at the beginning. It's a big upfront design. And in the first month, all changed. That's of course all changed. We expect it. That's a big waste that we should eliminate. So big upfront design is the wrong choice. We have to choose the evolutionary design. The design should be evolved gradually, iteratively. And all that has impact on the technologies that you choose. For example, evolutionary design means you should delete the code that you wrote in the past regularly. Because in this iteration, in this evolution, we write the code in such a way that it works well in these conditions, but on the next iteration, many things will change, and we should delete some of the code base that we wrote in the past. So reusable design or reusability should be taught again and again. So manual testing, we spend our days and weeks for just doing manual testing. Manual testing is a very expensive activity. I know that in the past, many companies had tester teams. They have big tester teams, and you go to UAT or staging environment, and before going to production, you ask for doing tests. Till that time, you are sure that it works on your local or it works on your test environment, QA environment. But then the testers, they spend days for identifying bugs. They find bugs, of course, and they click every single link or every single feature they tried to notice, to find bugs. And that's weird, because if you have a continuous delivery flow, you have each testing activity should be embedded in your development cycle. And without the need of big tester teams, you can definitely deliver software. There are tons of examples I experienced. And comments on the code base. In my first 5 years, I had a strong idea. Every code should have comments. I had tons of comments. in such a way that I put comments to even getters and setters. And one day, I noticed that plugin in IntelliJ IDE, the automatic comment generator for getters and setters. And I was shocked because I spent all my time writing, most of my time writing, get ticket method. I write gets the ticket. That's the comment. You would like to understand how my code works, read the comment. It gets the ticket. And that's a shame. After some time, I noticed that, how about deleting all the code, all the comments there? Then there are lots of hacks. They are hidden now. Lots of magic numbers, lots of workarounds. Now we cannot identify it. So now it's the question. Magic numbers, workarounds and patches, they are not natural, right? They should not be there. If you have to put it, you have to command it. But other than that, we should not need comments to understand the code base. So clean code principles or test-driven development, the principles behind directly helps in that area. We had big releases. Big releases means 1 month, monthly releases, 2 month releases, 6 monthly releases. And most of the time, it exists the deadline because you have lots of troubles. Some features cannot work. And in order to identify the real reason, you have to dig into tens of different functions you delivered because the risk and the complexity of your current increment is too high. So do frequent short releases. So one common procedure for fixing bugs is getting a ticket, a Jira ticket most probably, about bugs. And you are waiting till the technical leader or your manager assigns to you. And when it is assigned to you, you open it. You go to the code base, you fix it, you look at it in your local, and test it on, if you are lucky, you have a different environments other than production. And you can test it, and then you deploy it. And you cross your fingers. And now you should not release your bug fix unless it is first reproduced by tests. So when you get a ticket, when you notice a bug, first you have to write a test to reproduce the problem. So in eBay Turkey, 3 years ago, I tried to achieve 100% code coverage. Is it a good idea? Or it's I don't know. Everyone thinks that. It's an asymptotic goal, so no one can reach that state. Or if you would like to reach, you have to write tons of some weird tests for getters and setters and such. Who cares? 100% code coverage is not a good idea, but I have to have an idea in the discussions, and I pushed myself to write tests in every line of code, and I achieved. In a 3 months project, I achieved 100% code coverage, and I was in a mood like a Superman. No one, and in our daily conversation, I just jumped to the code coverage rate topic. And even my walk changed. I'm looking at other developers. Oh, it's a pity that you haven't written any kind of code that reached 100% code coverage. Oh, bad! How bad it is! And that's disgusting, right? and we moved. We deployed to the UAT. We had a UAT, a tester team, and they said that we had 4 functions that are not working, and we cannot deploy to production. 4 big functions, 4 important functions do not work. It's not working. The product is not working, and it's 100% code coverage. Unit tests are well written. How that can happen? And I wrote, functional tests. And And I reproduced them directly. I solved it by refactoring the unit test again and finalized the whole procedure. So we have to reproduce first. And normally we release our products and ask for feedback from customers. No, that was in the past. We get a feedback first. We have to get feedback first to get a release. How can that happen? There are tons of ways on the literature. There are the MVPs, there are lean startup concept. We have to dig into it. And waste-driven development, what I call is, there are lasting defects. If you wait enough time, every bug can be resolved because the whole code base can be evolved in a dramatically weird way that the bug does not exist anymore. And 99 done tasks, of course, you complete 90% of tasks and you still require 90% of your time. And rework at the end, we do lots of rework at the end, and slow continuous integration builds if you have a continuous integration system. Manual release steps, of course, and working alone. I call it the guy in the corner. One day, I entered a company, and a guy just introduced me to the team, and they said, there's a new guy, there's a guy there sitting there. This is the team room, but that guy is just sitting there alone. Why? Big headsets, big screens, and a cool guy. It's, when you look from outside, lots of messy tables, of course, without shoes. It just sucks. But why? He's not sitting with the team. He said, he's not that kind of guy. He don't want to interact with people. Now you are not a team anymore. You are just a bunch of developers working on the same project. Becoming team is interacting, is communicating. And if the author only knows the code, you have a big a big elephant in your development life. And unsynchronized branches, you will have waste. And hesitation to commit your code, of course, and manual testing again and again. So we can change it into a different perspective. Let's fix those. In order to resolve the long-lasting defects, let's calculate SLAs, the resolution times, and define why some type of bugs and defects cannot be resolved in a fast way. What are the long-lasting defects? And we have to define our definition of done, and we should obey it. Definition of done is a very important concept. And refactor continuously, refactor mercilessly is important. We have to delete code. And continuous integration builds should be fast. It should be lightning fast. 10 minutes build, okay, but 1 minute build is better, okay? And automatic release steps. Programming peers, and from my perspective, mob programming might be the practice of this century. So we should invest in mob programming. Never release unreviewed code to production. Never, ever. And you can write this wording to your walls. And we should build our code review, peer review, or pair programming procedures from scratch to achieve that goal. And checking code base frequently, we should. And commit early, commit often, perfect later, and publish once. It's a very idiomic goal of version control system, and that hides lots of work underneath. And designed by tests, of course. So we have to define standards. Do you have standards? We have to define it, like logging standards and the error handling standards. Tons of standards we need, but stop defining standards up front. Designing standards is an evolutionary process. Let them be evolved and changed from time to time. And we should version everything that we can version. So use your Git repository, Git hosting a lot. Sometimes you can use Git comments more than you write your code, your program. Versioning everything is a must-have. Also, automatize everything. It's not an easy job, of course, but we have to think about it. How can we use clouds? How can we use continuous integration? How can we use continuous delivery processes? We have to automate everything that we can automate. That's a different mindset. And we have to have radical transparency, which means radical. It's not enough to have some transparency on your team. It should be radical. It should contain tons of information radiators in your board. We should define, boards are there to define the problems, not for acting or putting post-its every day and buying tons of post-its. And by the way, documentation is also an important point. So I have just few more information that I should share. Documentation is not a way of communication. Developers hate documentation, right? We don't write it because no one reads it. At the end, it's an old document. I mean, how can we handle that? Anyway, we have to make it readable. It should be like a comic strip. So we can use mind maps. That is a mind map that I created for requirement gathering. I prepared. There are tons of different mind maps, and you can share these to other developers. And developers write documents a lot. But how come? If the next developer reads what you produce, that is a document. And your commit branch messages, branch names, your commit graphs, production code, test code, your flow diagrams, and release notes, code review comments, those are documentation and it should be written well. You should take a deep breath before writing a commit message. It is important. And you should not write just a bug fix. You should think about the context of the commit and write a good naming. So there are tons of different ways in our development life, and the mindset is the following. The mindset is we should think about every attempt that we change our code, to change our product as a waste. If there's a waste inside, if we can be more productive, if we can spend less time, and we should detect and eliminate them. And we should do that with the whole team, not as individuals. Thanks a lot for your time.